Happy day, friends. Welcome to those of you who are new here. I am Macy LaShawn Sledge, and my purpose for being here is to encourage and uplift and empower anyone who is following along, anyone who is here, subscribe to the channel, as I'm doing that for myself. And so, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being present in the work. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for doing the work, because it is in you doing the work that the world is going to change. So thank you for being here. Now, previously I have referred to this as a collective reading, as a weekly reading, and I feel my spirit shifting me away from weekly reading, collective reading, and it's more so of a weekly review, because it's as if I am living in the future and I am looking back on the week and I'm speaking to what occurred during that week from a future point of view, right? So this is a weekly review, okay? So as you're listening to this, I want you to listen to it as if you are experiencing yourself, seeing yourself from a future point of view. You're in the future and you're looking back on a past version of yourself, and you're watching this past version of yourself move through the week in the way that we'll talk about here. Okay, so this is a weekly review, and it's a weekly review from the perspective of your future self. All right, so I wanted to make sure that I note that, because I am moving forward. That's how I'll approach these sessions, is from the stance of it's a weekly review, and this is a future version of ourselves that is looking back and shedding some light on it, almost reflecting in a sense, right, on the past. So with that being said, if you are new here, I like to start by taking some deep breaths in together so that you can just be present and available to receive what it is that your spirit has for you to receive. So go ahead and close your eyes. Begin to notice, witness, and observe the stillness, the abyss, the darkness, with your eyes being closed. Take your attention to your breath and just notice the gentle inhale and the gentle exhale. Begin to deepen your breath by breathing in deeply through your nose and exhaling out through your nose, completely emptying your lungs. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your nose. One more time, in through your nose and sighing it out through your mouth. Letting everything go. Okay, so this week you made some choices, okay? You made some new and empowering choices. And these choices opened you up, okay? These choices opened you up. They opened you up to a more limitless way of being. They opened these new and empowering choices that you made as you moved throughout this week. They opened you up to a more limitless way of existing in the world. Okay? And when looking at what are some of those choices that you made this week, okay, let's look at what are some of the choices that you made this week. What did you choose to embody? What did you choose to integrate as you were moving throughout this week, as you were doing the work, as you were contemplating and spending time with yourself? What did you embody? What did you choose to integrate? So, the first thing that we'll look at is that you chose to integrate self-trust. Okay? So, in the past, you wavered quite a bit whenever it came to trusting yourself. Okay? You wavered quite a bit. You may have struggled you may have struggled in your interactions with authority figures, but really on a more mental and emotional level. And you were required to put the voices of these authoritative figures in your life above your own. You were required to put their voices first, okay? But as you moved throughout this week, you finally decided within yourself to begin to trust yourself. Okay, so as you were moving throughout this week, you this self-trust, you begin to make choices. You begin to listen to yourself in a way to where this self-trust was strengthened. Okay, this relationship that you have with trusting yourself, with seeing yourself as the authoritative figure in your own life, that relationship is being strengthened. Okay, that connection, because you are the authoritative figure in your own life, and that connection is becoming stronger. Okay, you are finally making the connection as you're moving throughout this week. And so, because you now are choosing to trust yourself, to listen to yourself, to put your voice first, to see yourself as the authoritative figure in your own life, that is what led you to make new and empowering choices. This intention that you set to strengthen this trust between you and the essence of who you are, your power, your sovereignty. Okay, so you're beginning to really trust yourself and open up to the intuitive impulses that you feel and sense within yourself. The intuitive impulses that have always been guiding you, but you struggled with trusting yourself. And so you struggled with listening to and following those intuitive impulses. But now you're finding your footing. You found your footing. And so you trust yourself and you're beginning to, this has opened you up to the intuitive impulses, and it's opened you up to noticing and observing the synchronicities and following them unapologetically. Okay? And so you are also, you also integrated justice as you moved throughout this week. Okay? You also integrated justice. And so what that means is that you liberated yourself. Okay? You liberated yourself. You chose to embody forgiveness. You chose to embody compassion. You chose to embody grace and patience over self-hate, over self-doubt, over fear, over impatience. Okay? You chose to embody forgiveness, compassion, and grace. And in doing so, that is you receiving the justice that you were telling yourself you hadn't received yes, that is you receiving the justice that you were telling yourself you hadn't received because of what happened to you in the past, because of the experiences that you had with others in the past, because of the pain that you may have experienced in your relationships with other people in the past. But when you wait, when you wait on justice to be served, what happens is you neglect embodying what your heart, what your soul is calling you to embody, okay, which is the forgiveness, the compassion, the grace, the understanding, because you're waiting on this justice that may never come from an external source, but it comes from within. Okay, you are the one who integrates the justice, and you do so by choosing forgiveness, and not necessarily in forgiving other people, but in forgiving yourself. Okay, we're talking about you integrated self-trust. And so as you moved throughout this week, you also chose to reflect, and you chose to forgive yourself for not trusting yourself, for putting other people's voices above your own, for seeing people outside of yourself as the authoritative figure in your life. Even if you are good and grown, mentally, emotionally, you are still carrying that pattern and that narrative in your body. And so as you are moving throughout this week, you chose to forgive yourself for holding on to old narratives. You chose to act with compassion towards yourself because you didn't know better, but now you do. You chose to be gracious and kind to yourself because you're learning, you're evolving, you're transcending. And so you're not looking at the past versions of yourselves and getting angry, getting upset. You're looking at the past versions of yourself and you're sending compassion and grace and love, unconditional love and forgiveness to those versions, because they simply were living in the narratives that they believed they had to live in. Okay? And now you know better. Okay? One of the other things that you chose to embody, that you made a decision to embody as you were moving throughout this week, is lightheartedness. Lightheartedness. Again, you were holding on to bitterness. You were holding on to this anger, to bitterness, to frustration about a past life, essentially. Because you're no longer the person that you were in the past, experiencing those things, and yet you're still holding on to the bitterness. But as you were moving throughout this week, you made the choice to let go of it, because you're trusting that something new is unfolding on your behalf, and you're trusting yourself to experience whatever this newness is, and you're trusting yourself to carry it with you, to embody it as you move into the future. So you're letting go of bitterness and you're embodying lightheartedness. Okay, and whenever I was meditating over this and that came up, I just saw in the heart space, I saw butterflies fluttering and just. So as you're moving throughout this week, you may notice that light, airy feeling, that butterfly feeling in your chest. That's an indication that on a subconscious level, there is work happening, and that is you letting go. Okay. You're also, as you moved throughout this week, you also became a little bit more sensitive towards yourself. And I don't mean sensitive towards this temporary version of yourself, but more sensitive to your intuitive self. You became more sensitive towards your God self. Okay, which means that you are doing a much better job at acknowledging that intuitive voice, at acknowledging that there is something more to you. Okay, and in becoming more sensitive towards yourself, you we're no longer sensitive in the sense of becoming overwhelmed by your feelings and emotions based on what's going on around you, based on other people and what they do. Okay? But you're becoming more sensitive to your power, to your sovereignty, to the essence of who you are. And you're making a choice to put that aspect of yourself first. Okay? And so that relationship is being strengthened. Again, going back to the idea of you making the choice to ground into self-trust, to say to yourself, I am trusting myself. I trust the intuitive impulses. I trust my inner voice, and I'm putting it first. I believe in the essence of who I am, and I'm putting that aspect of myself first. Affirmations that you can work with. I trust myself. I believe in the essence of who I am. I believe in my sovereignty. I honor my sovereignty. I uplift my sovereignty above all else. And that leads me to the last note for this weekly review. You also made the choice to integrate prayer and a new kind of self-talk. And when I say that you made the choice to integrate prayer, you're not necessarily praying to anything outside of yourself. You're really praying to yourself. You're praying to yourself. You're praying to the essence of who you are. You're praying to that God that lives within you, the same God that created everything that you can see in this universe and everything that you cannot see, the same God that created you, that lives within you. You're praying to that aspect of yourself. You began to see God not as something that lives outside of you, that is controlling your life, that is condemning you, but you began to see God as yourself. You began to see yourself as an embodiment of that great power. I am an embodiment. I am a manifestation. I am a reflection of God. I was made in the image of God, therefore I am. I was made in the image of God, therefore I am. And you took that this week, and you sat with that, and you meditated with that, and you began to allow that truth to guide you forward. That is it for this weekly review for the week of March 25th through March 31st. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts that you would like to share, if you had any personal revelations outside of what was stated by me, feel free to leave it in the comments. I love the interaction. I love connecting. And so utilize that comment section. I want to encourage you to journal about what came up for you, meditate over what came up so that you can make the choice to embody and integrate everything that came up here. All right. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week.